short check-in clip. So this reads Bitcoin to revisit sub 8K in well-deserved rest. We were trading in and around the 8240 level at that point, and we were looking at what we felt would probably see a run down to back into the 7,000s. This was our last clip of a couple that I've done. I also did this standing parking lot pitch where I said essentially we reverted back to bullish on Bitcoin, and despite a rest being in the cards, it's unlikely to be anything more than a rest in what is now early stages strength for BTC after bottoming out, lowering the volatility and getting strong. So that was done 2 days ago, and so was this one. So this is what happened subsequently. We had a proper spill down on the Winklevoss Twins ETF, turned down. You bottomed about. Some people thought, well, we might be flagging here. The pattern potential was there. We had fallen, by the way, sub that 8K level. In other words, the rest, a key level of significance that we'd really only just paused. I'd watched it when it ran this and said, damn, it's going to go higher. It ran it, and we were expecting far more interaction with such a key critical level. Remember, Bitcoin was in the lower 6,000s not so very long ago. Then we had this grinding up move. We invalidated a lot of bearish patterns, which was continued to assert. We made the inverted head and shoulders targets that I've covered in previous clips to this. So we had a lot of upside targets performing, a lot of macro inverted setups underperforming. If this sounds like I'm just trying to say we got it all right, I certainly didn't. I thought they were squeezing, and when we were trotting there, I thought we were actually going to run high. I added a bit more just at the worst possible moment and watch it get spanked all the way down. Thankfully, because of the view though, that this is just part of that rest, we're already quite strong BTC and our special favorite coin as well, which I'll be giving the details to in those that attend the webinar on the 31st of July, not very far away now, which our community has been loading up at lower levels. But those are the two things that I've been holding. So I topped up with a few more just there, and of course it rode it back down. But this is one of the most emphatic and robust rebuttals, and it's been pushed straight back up. People will talk. They're going to keep coming back for this ETF. Eventually, they're going to get given something. This was a massive overreaction. I found myself a bit shocked by it, but at the same time, we were ready for a rest to take place. There's actually been it's more about the great extension that Bitcoin has made. You know, the grinding for a long time way up and not really taking much of a rest at any of these points. It was overdue for me. So I think a lot of this got baked into that news. But it wasn't all about just the news. It had just done a lot. It's come from the low 6,000s, and it had run itself to over 8,500, $2,500. You want to have a look when it was at the low 6,000. It wasn't very long ago. I think it's 13th July. And it's just not natural for markets to move in that way. Right there's a low, for example. That was 61167. And what day was that? That was the 12th of July, this very same month. And in the beginning, the end of June 24th, so barely a month ago, you could have had Bitcoin for 5,780. And over here, this month, 13th, only 2 weeks away, really, you could have had it for 6.1. So you don't move up like that without taking a rest. It's just price behavior. So sat that out with the negative equity that went on it on those top-up ones. Thankfully, most of them were bought a lot lower, and we've had this pump back up to these key levels of significance. By the way, I don't think it's just going to moon through all these levels. I think it will top out again and sell off again. It's more likely we're going to have a little bit of a more sustained pause. And that is probably going to make up what I would typically call, and we always assume, continuation pattern, something along the lines of a secondary low that won't be quite as deep or as dark a sell-off as this, after maybe stamping out here for a bit and then tightening up in and around the low 8s, 8,150, and then we get another push up that could take us to 8.7, 8.75, which starts to then bring the 9K level back into sight. You also have to remember that there's something that I've done on the head and shoulders. If I just go out slowly on the time frames, you might recall I said big sniper events occurred on this inverted head and shoulder fractal here with a little squeeze. You have to really drop the time frames to see that one. And that was probably your first clear-cut moment. Then the neckline break, again a fractal just before it to below it to pump through. Those were two key sniper sight points that we put on there. But if you go up a little bit more, you get what I call nestling of head and shoulders, of which you've already seen an example. So this target was made with a run up here. So this neckline setup, this target was made on the run here. You then got to ask yourself, are there further structures of head and shoulders that could be run? So you had a left shoulder here, you had a right shoulder. Oh, hang on. This right here is effectively, or better still a line a little lower, this green line here is effectively a left shoulder head and a very small right shoulder here that you've broken and you're making your way up. So we keep setting and making new targets. So if I take the green level, we work on horizontal lines only and run it to the low. This target is higher still. So we've had this one here with a red line neckline already make target. If we put that there, what are you looking at? They keep on potentially threatening the next levels. That's in and around 9.6. And it's a decent left shoulder, and you're getting a respect-worthy light right shoulder in what is a very strong pumping environment. So this could be continuing to move its way up. As I mentioned, the one before was made target. So as long as you're getting success, you keep on exhuming. Is there a dead body to be brought up? Assuming more success. So just trust the chart if that's what it's telling you. One will eventually fail for sure, but that's okay. This is quite impulsive and it's done quite a lot in a short time. And I think there's more to come. So what do I think here though? This overall though might take a little longer. We might pause, dip again, and then get really low vol. People get a bit bored, a bit impatient. They start taking profits and losing interest, and that's when you pump. And the institutions are back in there again, and next thing you know, you're through the target here at 9.6. So we slowly start staircasing the nestled head and shoulders, the inverted head and shoulders, all the way back up to respectable levels. And eventually, even potentially possible, would be, if I pull this all through and I'm rushing up to the daily, let's get that squeeze correctly, you could in fact argue that this entire V followed by a slightly less intense V right shoulder complex has a neckline here on the key level that is 10,000. Fancy that being a KA level. And by the time we run this target up here, 9.6, a little bit of overperformance, we kiss the 10,000 and we pull back and we get a proper rest that will be a little longer than before. Many will start getting scared for the bear because they're traumatized, they've got scar tissue now. Right shoulder all the way back up. And you could have, again, a further structure from the 10,000 all the way down to the low here at 6,000. You could have 6,000 onto that 10,000, taking you back up to $16,000, which then will get a lot of people excited because a lot of these inverteds that performed on the downside, look at these targets created by these inverted HVFs. No one else has HVF method. This is self-originated tools. You can find it, if you become a client, you'll learn to be a master of all of this. Look at that cluster of targets there that were overperformed to. What you could start to get is then we could get back up to the 16,000 levels and be taking back those seams of bearishness, which will put us back into the game. Anyway, so overall my message is a bullish one, and I think it's justified with the news-based sell-off and the complete take-back move. While it's looking a little zippy here, as I say, I'd expect it to top out before this high. If it's super strong and it just shakes it off and it just runs, it's possible. I just think more likely that we'll have a slightly more extended rest. This might have stirred a few, punched on a few bruises for a lot of people that hodled all their way down the bear market. So it could be take a little bit while longer about moving up. It doesn't have to. So that's my take following the 8K dip, which did occur. In fact, the low here was right at 7,814, so quite low eights in the end. That area here below this blue line was the area below the 8K. It has rested and it's woken up, bouncing out of bed as fresh as a spring chicken as far as I'm concerned, but give it some time maybe to wind up a little more. That's your update on BTC. BTC leads the asset class. It's one of my big holdings apart from our mega coin. It's my next biggest holding. I have nothing else. I have 2 coins right now. And you know one of them, and it's my second biggest by value. Okay, so see you on the webinar. Trading's not for everybody. Trading HVF method is not for everybody. But if you feel interested in the line by what we are looking to do and how we analyze the markets, it could be for you. You can attend the webinar. There's no obligation. There will be an offer at the end of it. We do not give advice and all that other good stuff. Have a great weekend, and thanks for watching.